Welcome to the Smoke Learning channel. This set of videos focus on tracking. In the previous videos, we focused on object tracking, like tracking a layer to a background in various scenarios. This time round, we'll replace a road sign with corner pinning and 4-point tracking. This is the same technique you would use to replace billboards, TV screens, etc. If you would like to follow along, please click the link in the YouTube description to download the media. If you're watching the podcast version of this video, then type the link displayed in your internet browser. For this example, we have a driver's perspective looking at a road sign as he drives along. For the purposes of learning about corner pinning and 4-point tracking, we'll replace the large road sign. Select the segment in the sequence and apply a connect effects. Now drag out an action node from the node bin. Hold Option and place it into the connection. Go to the Media panel and drag the 4PT track replacement into Connect Effects. Press one left arrow to hide the Media panel. Select the action node and press Ctrl-N to add a new media input. Just connect the fill of the media into the red front input of the Media Input node. Double-click on the action node and press Escape to see the action schematic. Now when it comes to corner pinning, you will manipulate the surface object and not the axis nodes like the previous examples. So double-click on the image object to bring up the Image tab with the Surface menu. Looking at the Surface heading, you will see the Type pull-down menu. Currently, it is set to Flat. This is the standard flat layer surface that cannot be bent and twisted in 3D space. Switching the surface type to bilinear converts the surface into a 4-point surface that you can manipulate. So for example, you can grab the points of the new sign and position it in the composite. So go through each point and position the corners to match the shape of the road sign. Now this would be fine if you were just pinning an image onto a static frame. However, since this is a moving shot, we need to get each corner to track to the movement of the background. To do this, switch to the Vertices menu. This menu gives you all the finer controls to manipulate the vertex points of the surface. This also includes the options to track the corners to the road sign. Hold Command and drag a box selection over all 4 corners to select them. The stabilizer is set to track each point. Click the button to enter the stabilizer. You now have 4 trackers, with each one mapped to their respective number on the keyboard. The stabilizer is selection-based. Therefore, it is important to select the vertex points before going into the stabilizer. Otherwise, you won't get any tracker boxes. The tracker boxes each represent a corner with the original vertex positioning. Let's kick off the track and see what we get. Okay, so all the trackers worked correctly except this one. So let's fix the problem. Switch the selection mode to Solo. Toggle through 1 to 4 on your keyboard until you have isolated the bad track. The trees behind the sign are making it difficult for the tracker to get a proper fix. So we need to track elsewhere to get a successful track if this point always fails. We'll use the offset reference function. Ensure you are on frame 1. Switch the Tools pull-down menu from Select to Offset Reference. Hold Ctrl-Shift and drag the tracker box more into the sign. Keep the white edges in the reference pattern so we have something to track. Press Analyze to calculate the track. So that is the bottom right corner taken care of. Switch the Tools pull-down menu back to Select mode or press the Shift-M keyboard shortcut. Switch the selection mode back to Selected. So this has given us the positioning of the corners. But as you will see in a moment, we can still offset the image corners further to make it a better fit. Press Return to exit the stabilizer. Scrubbing the time bar, you can see that the tracking data has been assigned to each corner of the image. If you need to reposition or offset the corners, it's really easy. The tracking data for each corner is applied to an animation channel. But there is a secondary animation channel for offsetting. In straightforward terms, you can move any of these points and the tracking data will still be applied to that point with the offset. So hold Command and drag a box selection around any of the points. Start pulling and adjusting each point to better align it to the sign. Even if you scrub the time bar, the sign will still be tracked. So if you were replacing a screen, for example, you track your tracking markers and then stretch the image surface to cover the rest of the screen. To conclude this exercise, let's change the filtering as well as crop or mask the image to integrate the new sign. Go to the Image Surface menu and set the filtering from Linear to EWA plus Linear. That makes things clearer. Now we'll crop the sign in this case. Switch back to the Media menu. Double-click on the crop boxes to enable cropping. Now click and drag the top value to crop the top of the image. You can also click the bottom value to crop the bottom of the image. If you wanted to crop the image proportionately, hold Option and click and drag any of the crop sliders. The same goes for softening the cropped edges. Hold Option and drag any of the softness values to proportionately soften the edges. Play around with it until you are happy with the result. Finally, hold Option and drag the blur a small amount to match the shot. One final tip, and it is a big one. When you are working in action, you are working with 3D objects that are textured with media that is connected into action. So you have created a physical 3D surface that is corner pinned and tracked to the background. Now let's say you'd like to shift the image that textures this 3D four-corner surface without physically disturbing it. For instance, to make the image fit better with the background. Select the image object in the Action Schematic view and press F8 for the object view. The object view shows the image that textures the 3D surface in action. So if you pull any of these corners, you are remapping the texture on the surface. Technically, you are adjusting the UV mapping of the image texture on the 3D surface. This is very similar to how texturing works in other 3D applications. Switch to the Object menu and choose the Image UV Points menu. This menu gives you accurate controls over the UV points to manipulate this texture. Ultimately, this will allow you to manipulate your image even more than just adjusting the corner points of the image surface. So that looks really good. Exit Connect Effects and you can scrub the result. Ensure the segment is selected and press the Render button. So now you're on the road to 4-point tracking. Let's move on to the next example where we use the Paint tool to remove unwanted markings on a moving vehicle. Thank you for watching and please subscribe to the Smoke Learning channel for future videos.